Before we begin, I want to quickly note that this video is part 1 of a 4-part Silent Hill F retrospective. Each part focuses on a different set of endings and themes, with a final video dedicated entirely to deep dives and analysis. Each video stands on its own, but they're best watched in upload order. At a later point, I'll also be releasing a complete version that combines everything into a single video without these additional intros and outros. With that said, let's begin. Silent Hill is a series known for its hauntingly sad and deeply emotional storylines. Stories that have stuck with players long after completing the game. But despite being created by Japanese developers, the series has never actually taken place in Japan. That is, until now. Silent Hill F is the newest entry in the franchise, released on September 25th, 2025, for PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Those who pre-ordered the deluxe edition were able to play the game 2 days earlier. I've spent the past few months fully completing the game, earning all 5 endings, unlocking every bonus objective and achievement, and exploring everything Silent Hill F has to offer. All gameplay footage you'll see here was captured from my own playthrough on PC via Steam. In this video, I'll be breaking down the story, going over what happens, my thoughts and reactions along the way, and how I felt about where the narrative ultimately leads. This is the first time I've made a video like this, so I want to apologise in advance for any small editing mistakes. I know this is sort of different from what I usually do on the channel, but I hope you will all enjoy it. I'm Ashimaro, and today, I'd like to talk about Silent Hill F. Before we dive into the game itself, I want to take a moment to talk about some of the theories surrounding what the F in Silent Hill F actually means. While there's no official answer, many fans have connected the letter to Japanese language and folklore, which makes sense given the game's 1960s Japan setting, and the fact that it was written by Rikishi 07, the creator of Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. Here are some of the most popular interpretations. Furusato, meaning hometown or old country home. It's also the title of a Japanese folk song about longing for one's birthplace, a theme that ties neatly into the game's sense of nostalgia and setting. Fukushu or Fukatsu, translating to revenge and revival. These could symbolize both the game's narrative themes and the franchise's own revival after years of dormancy. Fu. This kanji can mean rotten or decay. It strongly mirrors the game's striking visuals of flowers and fungus consuming the world around the characters. Fox. The kitsune, or fox spirit, is a major figure in Japanese folklore. Given the marketing imagery featuring a fox mask, and the presence of a character wearing a fox mask in the story, this theory has plenty of weight behind it. And one final, simpler interpretation that I personally find very likely. Flowers. Floral imagery is everywhere in Silent Hill F. The spider lily, in particular, is a key motif throughout the game. In Japanese folklore, this flower symbolizes both death and rebirth, perfectly echoing our protagonist's journey. With those theories in mind, let's move on to ending 1, titled Coming Home to Roost. Spoiler and content warning from this point on. I'll be discussing the game's story and themes in full detail, including some disturbing content that may be upsetting for certain viewers. With all that said, let's begin. Upon launching the game, we're immediately greeted with a splash screen containing a content warning, setting the tone right from the start. Once we move past that, we arrive at the title screen. There are multiple difficulty settings for both action and puzzles, but for this first playthrough, we'll stick with story mode for both. After selecting our outfit, it's time to begin the game proper. The story opens with a young girl playing with a doll, dismissively talking about how she doesn't need them or their dumb games anymore. Soon, we learn her name, Hinako. She's then invited by her older sister to come play, and we cut to an older Hinako, now sharing a quiet moment with her sister, Junko. Towards the end of this scene, Hinako gives her sister a bell and attaches it to her kimono. This will be important to remember later. It struck me as a little odd that even this early on, we never actually get to see Junko's face. After their exchange ends, we transition into the opening sequence, a beautifully haunting title song that perfectly sets the mood. I'll let that play out for you. After the title sequence, we jump straight into an argument. Hinako's father is shouting at her for reasons we don't yet understand. Hinako storms out, saying she's going to see her friends. From here, we finally gain control of our character, Shimizu Hinako. Heading up past the house, we come across a note about a geisha that recently started spewing water. Notes and journal entries are scattered everywhere in this game, and trust me, some achievements are tied to them. If there's ever a game where you should read every single note you find, it's this one. After a quick look through the journal, we continue down the mountain and find another note from a doctor mentioning foxes entering the town more frequently. A little further along, we reach our first Okora, a small shrine where we can save the game and access a few other features that I'll cover later. Just beyond that, we find a locked house door that can't be opened. Remember this spot, it's going to matter later. As we keep descending the mountain, Hinako wonders aloud where everyone has gone, and mentions maybe finding someone at Chizuria, marking our next destination. Our journal also updates with the name of the town, Ebisugaoka, a fictional place created for the game. A bit further down, we come across what looks like a post office and discover another note. This one talks about recent earthquakes since May, but also mentions a rumor that these quakes are caused by Inari-sama's curse. Note in hand, we finally head into town proper, only to find our path blocked by a truck, and what we found on the ground beside it is, well, unsettling. After that charming sight, we decide to take a shortcut Hinako knows about. While moving through it, we overhear two women whispering about the curse, saying there's no other way someone could have died like that. Fearing they may be overheard, the conversation ends abruptly. Further down the street, we finally meet one of Hinako's friends, Igarashi Sakuko. For some reason, she calls us a traitor. At this point, we're not sure if she's joking or if there's something more behind it. After a brief exchange, she says she'll meet us over at Chizuria. Not long after, we find a missing person poster with a torn corner, giving off a distinctly uneasy vibe. This post will matter later, and I will cover it in a later section in the retrospective. Continuing on, we eventually arrive at Chizuria, where we meet Iwai Shu, Hinako's best friend since childhood. What follows is a slightly awkward conversation. Neither of them seems to know what to say. Shu then hands us a small matchbox-sized container, more on that later, and tells us he'll always be there for us. How sweet. Not long after, we're introduced to another new character, Nishida Rinko. She's clearly smitten with Shu, though he doesn't seem to pay much attention to her advances. Rinko's not exactly thrilled to see Hinako here either, viewing her as a rival for Shu's affection. Soon after, Sakuko joins the group, and the four of them chat about various debts they owe Hinako. While Sakuko tries to talk her way out of paying back some borrowed money, something strange begins to happen. The fog thickens, and an ominous shape forms within it. Suddenly, the mood shifts. Boil-like growths begin to grow across Sakuko's body, before she collapses. The group scatters, and just like that, we're thrown into the first of two chase sequences. Before continuing, a quick note about this playthrough. I've already completed the first ending and collected all the story achievements, including the missable ones, before recording this video. For this chase, the missable achievement requires finishing it without taking any damage. On my first attempt, I failed, and intentionally let myself die to retry. From this point forward, I'll only be showing the successful chase runs and all successful bonus achievement segments. After escaping the fog creature, climbing up, jumping down, and limping away, we take some damage. This is where the matchbox from Shu comes into play. Inside are the red capsules, a healing item that slightly restores HP, and a portion of our maximum sanity. There's a catch though. Using them locks you into ending 1 in New Game Plus runs, so for future endings, we'll need to be careful not to use them. We also find a bandit, which restores a greater amount of health. Heading further down the path, we pick up a few more red capsules, and climb a ladder to continue forward. Through a narrow gap between two houses, we spot a shadow. Thinking it might be Shu, we call out, but there's no response. We head on through the gap. Moments later, a bucket rolls out in front of us, followed by We're then thrown into our first combat tutorial. The game briefly explains how to dodge attacks, and if you time it perfectly, you'll trigger a perfect dodge, slowing time briefly and restoring stamina. Since we can't fight back yet, the goal is to simply escape by getting out of the monster's line of sight. Throughout this playthrough, I'll take advantage of this mechanic whenever possible. You don't actually have to fight everything. Often it's smarter to just run. Continuing on, we find another note from a local doctor, mentioning that some townsfolk believe Onori-sama is curing them of their illnesses. Turning back around, we witness something genuinely unsettling. One of the monsters leaps through the air onto a nearby rooftop. It doesn't notice us, thankfully. We breathe a sigh of relief and keep moving. A little further ahead, we spot another monster on patrol. Carefully following it, we slip into an alleyway and find a new item, Yokan, a sweet treat that greatly restores HP and can also be used as an offering. Since I'm playing on story mode for combat, I tend to offer most of these items to increase my faith. Nearby, we also come across a radio that plays a rather questionable message. This transmission will be different in New Game Plus and will give us a different ending. Heading back through the alleyway, we carefully avoid the monster and climb up the nearby wall. Following the path to its end, we enter a house. Inside, we find a back door that needs a key and a few drawers we can search through for items. After checking everything, we head upstairs. One of the doors is locked, but the other opens into a room where we find another yokan and, at the end, a bloodied mask lying on the floor. Inspecting it reveals a bloody key. After picking up the key, we slip past the nearby monster and enter the room it came from, where we finally find the back door key. Back downstairs, we unlock the back door and climb down the ladder outside, discovering our first Omamori, the whale. Omamori are the game's power-ups, each with unique effects. Some combinations can make higher difficulties far more manageable. I'll be saving them for my 5th playthrough, where I'll tackle the hardest difficulty. But for now, I equip the whale to take advantage of its ability to stop me getting interrupted while healing. Attempting to sneak past the monster again, I mistime my dash and take some damage, eventually making it back into the room where we found the back door key. Opening the door to the balcony, I vault over the railing to a nearby rooftop to escape. Following the path forward, we discover an antique comb, an authoring item worth 300 faith when given to a Hokora. During my first playthrough, I saved all my faith until I could purchase every Hokora exclusive Omamori, which I managed early in my 3rd run, purely because I decided to do the joke ending on playthrough 2. Past the shrine, we follow the linear path to a short cutscene, and finally we get a way to defend ourselves. Armed with a steel pipe, we're introduced to combat. Light attacks use RB, while RT performs heavy attacks, which have a higher chance of stunning enemies. Stunned enemies take more damage, so we'll be focusing on that mechanic. There's also an easier way to stun enemies, which we'll discover soon. After our first kill, we're immediately faced with another enemy, and a new tutorial. Countering. Occasionally, enemies will flash red. When this happens, a well-timed heavy attack will counter and stun them. You can extend the window for counters using focus by holding LT. When the focus bar is full, you can unleash a powerful weapon-specific attack, at the cost of some maximum sanity. Following the path and climbing up the nearby stairs, we find our first toolkit, which restores weapon durability. Weapons break when their durability hits 0, so keeping these on hand is essential. A little further on, we find a new consumable in a crate, Ramune, which greatly restores your current max sanity. Continuing onward, we arrive back in front of the candy store, triggering another cutscene. We tried to pull the flowers and fungus off of Sakuko, but they won't budge. We drag her inside, cover her with a blanket, and Hinako reflects on how Sakuko always dreamed of living a different life. At the end of the cutscene, we're thrust into our first forced combat encounter, facing 3 monsters. After defeating them, Hinako begins to lose control, repeatedly striking one of the fallen monsters long after it's dead. She collapses from exhaustion and pain, eventually passing out. When we wake, we find ourselves in a dark room with an altar, the game's first puzzle. On story mode, the items and their placements are clearly marked, but higher puzzle difficulties make this section far more cryptic. Once the puzzle is solved, the atmosphere changes. A red hue fills the room, and with each step, Hinako feels the weight of the tension bearing down. Periodic headaches begin to drain our sanity, heightening the already oppressive feeling. It's as if this place itself is trying to break her. Panicked, Hinako screams for someone to open the locked door. The door suddenly gives way and she falls through, right into the arms of a mysterious man with white hair, dressed in a white kimono, wearing a fox mask. After a brief exchange, he tells us we need to leave and addresses Hinako by name. Without questioning how he knows who she is, we regain control and find ourselves in a new area, the Dark Shrine. The Dark Shrine feels like this game's equivalent of the usual Silent Hill Otherworld, Nightmare World, or Reverse Side. My interpretation is that it represents Hinako's own personal nightmare. As we move through it, we pass wooden plaques and paper slips, the kind used in Japanese shrines for hanging wishes and prayers. A little further in, a cutscene plays where we obtain a ceremonial dagger known as a kaiken. Continuing our journey, we encounter a massive door flanked by two ominous fox statues. Inspecting them, we feel the weight of their gaze as Fox Mask appears once again, urging us to follow him further. We move on to another locked door. Hinako pauses. She seems to recall seeing something like this before, but can't place where. We head back to where we obtained the dagger. A short cutscene follows, where the childhood doll reappears in an unsettling display, accompanied by a wooden ema that mentions a crane, serpent, and tortoise. All keys to the second puzzle. The air thickens with tension as we hear the rattling of chains. The next monster appears and manacles bind its wrists, its chest hollowed out with an unnerving absence of a face, forcing it to rely on hearing. It's a cruel reminder that sound, not sight, is our enemy here. There's a bonus achievement here for completing the puzzle without taking damage from the creature. We take down the monster and then explore the wooden emas to find the serpent symbol. As we progress, we uncover an omamori hidden behind a unique cat ema. After finding the tortoise ema and noting the symbol, we head into the next section, but not before the monster respawns, forcing another confrontation. We defeat it and proceed. In the final ema section, we find another note scratched into stone. Mayumi's name. The same girl from the missing persons poster we saw earlier. Her fate is tied to the curse of this town, and I'll be delving deeper into her story later in this retrospective. After finding the crane ema and unlocking the final piece of the code, we head back toward the locked door. We hear the familiar ominous music of a respawned monster. This time, we move swiftly, ignoring it, as we unlock the door with the help of our journal entries. Inside, we discover that the fox mask has disappeared. A key lies in wait, accompanied by a haunting cutscene where Fox Mask reflects on the gift he's bestowed upon us, as the red mist from earlier surrounds Hinako. The camera shifts to the doll. The chilling words, "Don't trust the Fox Mask," serving as a warning of its true nature. After the cutscene, we need to make our way back to the door with the statues, while avoiding monsters and dealing with periodic headaches. Once we reach the statues, we get another cutscene. Hinako places the key into one of the statues' mouths, causing the red mist to suddenly fade. Fox Mask then appears and explains that the door we opened was for welcoming visitors, but the one we've just unlocked denies entry to all except those chosen to tread sacred ground. Hinako wonders aloud if she's truly allowed to enter, and Fox Mask assures her that, today, she is most welcome. Just then, an unseen force knocks Hinako out, and we're sent back to the real world. We wake up with Shu holding us close, relief washing over his face as he realizes we're okay. After making sure Sakako is safe, or as safe as someone can be in her current state, it's clear they're both struggling to process what's happened. The reality is hard to face. Sakako isn't really alive anymore. At least, not in the way she used to be. Shu wonders aloud if all this could be just a bad dream. Hinako, still shaken, mentions the monsters lurking around every corner. and she replies softly that at least they still have each other. Hinako then asks Shu where Rinko is, and then, unsatisfied with his answer, Hinako says that Rinko was supposed to be with him, and asks how do they know that she's okay. Shu, saying he got a little confused, says that they all got split up and ran off. Summarizing that she might have gone back home, we make her house our next destination. Once we regain control, we follow the path Shu took ahead. Not far along, a monster bursts from an opening to our left. Avoiding it, we step into the narrow passage it came from and begin to explore. The area winds between the candy store and Sakuko's house, where we find our first inventory upgrade. A worn shoulder bag, still in decent shape. Back on the main road, we pick up a new consumable, Higashi, which fully restores stamina and prevents stamina drain for a short duration. A bit further on, opposite the next Sakura, we find our first Ima, used to upgrade Hinako's stats at shrines. During my first playthrough, I skipped stat upgrades altogether, saving them for later runs. A little further up, Hinako clears a pile of wood blocking the path and finds a rusted sickle, which we use to replace one of the steel pipes from earlier. It's faster and a little more reliable. After a few steps, another cutscene plays. Hinako wonders aloud if everything that's happening to them could just be a dream. Maybe they're still back home, still just kids who want to keep playing Space Wars together. Shu, trying to lighten the mood, suggests they pinch each other to find out. Hinako scolds him, saying she can handle that herself. Shu's smile fades. He quietly says it isn't a dream, and runs ahead. When control returns, we follow after him. A monster suddenly dashes out from around the corner. Performing a perfect dodge, we circle behind the house. We find a ladder and climb up into a second floor window, the local doctor's house. The building is eerily silent. As we approach the open door on the landing, it slams shut in front of us. Heading into the room next to it, we find a monster lying motionless on the floor, and a locked drawer sitting close by. It's hard to tell if the creature is truly dead, so we moderately keep our distance. With nothing else to do here, we step back into the hallway and make our way downstairs. Heading into the living area, we find a small box sitting on the table. As we interact with it, a faint noise echoes somewhere deeper in the house. The unmistakable sound of a monster moving nearby. Opening the lid of the box, we're met with a disturbing sight. A cluster of small eyes and a pair of scissors staring back at us. Quickly closing it, we start checking the other drawers, and eventually uncover the drawer key. With the key in hand, we head back upstairs and return to the room by the window. Unlocking the drawer reveals a note from the doctor, mentioning that the trust given to the long-standing physicians of the Iwai family, Shu's family, is unshakably strong. As we turn around to leave, we realize the motionless monster that had been lying on the floor is now gone. After exiting the room, the door at the far end creaks open just slightly. Hinako gasps and shakily calls out, asking if anyone's there. We open the door and step inside. Deep claw marks line the walls, and Hinako quietly notes them under her breath. Searching through the room, we find another omamori, Pine. On the desk nearby, there's a note from the doctor, this one describing an autopsy report. As we leave the room, the same monster from earlier suddenly reappears, almost as if it materialized out of thin air. It lumbers out from the doorway ahead, blocking our path. We dodge past it and leap back through the window, climbing down the ladder to the street below. Back on the main path, we continue upward until the trail curves into the garden of a nearby house. There, we discover a new consumable, Arare. It restores a small amount of health, but the effect stacks if used repeatedly. Returning to the main path, we soon reach a small crossroads. One path continues upward, the other turns right. We head up. Hinako softly remarks that Sakuko's shrine is just ahead, and that she used to visit it often. At the shrine's entrance, we discover a weathered flyer. It advertises a chichinsai, a traditional Japanese ritual held to ask the Earth's permission before constructing a building. It's a small but poignant detail. one that quietly reinforces the themes of spiritual disturbance threaded throughout the game. As we step further in, the shrine's state becomes clear. It's old, worn down, and forgotten. Near the entrance, we find a new consumable, divine water. While reviewing this footage, I realised I actually picked one up earlier and never mentioned it. It fully restores sanity and reduces sanity damage for a short time. I ended up using it exclusively during my Lost in the Fog action difficulty run. Hinako murmurs that Sakako always said she'd make this place as popular as it once was. Just after, we find the key to Sakako's mailbox, and a letter from her mother mentioning strange, otherworldly voices. Leaving the shrine, we run into Shu. He points out that this isn't the way to Rinko's house. Hinako admits she must have zoned out for a moment. The two briefly talk about Sakako's shrine before agreeing to continue toward Rinko's place. Though something in the distance captures Hinako's attention, and she looks back, startled. Once we regain control, we backtrack all the way to Sakako's house. As we reach her mailbox, one of the monsters attacks, catching us off guard. Taking the hit, we interact with the mailbox and find another Omamori, Spider. This one ends up being crucial in my hardest difficulty run, as it drastically reduces weapon durability loss when performing light attacks. Inside, there's also a letter from the hospital, a document about Sakako's mental health. I'll go over this letter in more depth later in the retrospective. Heading back to where we first found the Ema, we make our way through the maze-like fields, eventually arriving at a small house with a note on the ground outside. The letter, titled Letter to Home, reveals a woman's thoughts about her husband, expressing that he's no longer the man she married. It's a short but haunting read, hinting at a deeper rot festering within Ebisuga Oga itself. The letter ends ambiguously, leaving its meaning open to interpretation. Hinako quietly remarks that it's terrible. Moving back the way we came, we hear the sound of crashing wood. Turning the corner, we find another monster waiting for us. We dodge around it and pick up a new item, a first aid kit, which restores our HP to full. Continuing deeper into the area, we run into another enemy, and even on story action difficulty, getting grabbed still takes a notable chunk out of your health. At the T-junction, we turn right and follow the path to the end. We patch ourselves up, but then after clearing away a pile of wood blocking the entrance, we step through. Remember this area for later. It becomes important for the joke ending. In Ending 1, however, its only purpose is to give us a school paper cutout, a clipping from the local newspaper. The article talks about an Ebisuga Oga legend, a story about a creature known as the Ayakakashi, a scarecrow-like monster that features heavily in the next puzzle we're approaching. They also appear later in the game as the main enemy type for an entire section. For some reason here, I decide to backtrack out of the maze and head down the path to the right of Sakako's shrine. At the end of the path, a deep guttural roar echoes through the air. Hinako reacts, muttering, "What was that?" The answer to that question we're about to find out. Heading back to the T-junction, instead of turning right, we go left and then take the next right, only to immediately get jump scared by another grab. Once through, we continue forward and reach a dead end, where Hinako comments on the disgusting fungus blocking the path. Overhead, Shu's voice calls out, warning us not to touch the fungus since it might be poisonous. He tells us to jump down into the nearby garden on the right. Down here, there's a stockpile of items, health and sanity restoratives, as well as a toolkit, clearly foreshadowing a big fight ahead. After searching the area, we find a key resting in a box beside the well. The moment we grab it, however, a cutscene plays. introducing our first major mini-boss encounter, the Ara Abare. This monster moves with violent, unpredictable energy, its body twisting and flailing as if it's constantly fighting against itself. The name roughly translates to Wild Rampage, and it fits perfectly. The Ara Abare, if alive for long enough, will charge at Hinako without hesitation, embodying pure chaos and aggression. To complete the encounter, we need to use the winch on the well 3 times to obtain the key to the storehouse. Using the focus mechanic, we manage to stun the monster twice before finally taking it down. Rushing to the winch, we turn it 3 times and grab the storehouse key. As we unlock the door and begin to push it open, the music shifts. The Ara Abare's respawn cue kicks in. Moving the woodpile out of the way, we sprint through the storehouse, dodging 2 more monsters inside, and dive out of the window straight into another cutscene. She runs over and kneels beside us, asking if we are okay. After assuring him we're fine, he mentions that Junko asked him to look after us. Standing up, we decide to keep moving towards Rinko's house. But first, we stop by the nearby Hokora to save our progress. Instead of following Shu right away, we take a quick detour down the path beside him and find another Ima tucked away in the garden of a nearby house. With that collected, we make our way back over to Shu, triggering another cutscene. He mentions that we used to play here together a long time ago. There's a brief moment of nostalgia as we reminisce about catching fish and tadpoles, and how we once got completely lost in these fields. Shu laughs, recalling how he gets scolded for coming home covered in mud after playing in the rice fields. The tone shifts slightly when he looks at Hinako and tells her she can rely on him for anything she needs. But the mood doesn't stay light for long. Shu glances around and notes how thick the fog has become, hoping Rinko hasn't lost her way. Then he walks off screen. And that's when everything feels different. The air grows still. The world around us seems to warp slightly, as if we've become trapped in a single isolated space. This marks the start of the next puzzle. Near the recurring doll, we find a note explaining the rules. Multiple scarecrows stand nearby, each with a thorn lodged in its body. Only one is pretending to be an evil scarecrow. Pull the thorn from this one, and it'll point us in the right direction. Simple enough, right? What could possibly go wrong? There's a bonus achievement tied to this puzzle. We have to make it through all 5 sections of the puzzle without making a single mistake. Upon getting through the final section of the puzzle, an eerie cutscene then plays. One of the scarecrows, that looks a lot like Hinako, faces towards us, staring directly at us, its face shifting between having a face and not having a face. After this cutscene ends, it's just standing there in front of us. To our left, Shu waits outside Rinko's house, but in the distance to the right, we can also see another Shu standing there. I'm not sure if this is a bug or if it's intentional, but it's unsettling either way, as if reality itself is starting to splinter. We walk over to Shu, triggering another cutscene. He calls out to Rinko, asking if she's there. Her voice answers from inside, soft but relieved. She's genuinely happy to see him. But when her eyes land on us, that warmth fades. She forces a smile and says she's glad we're safe. But there's tension underneath. Subtle. Defensive. Shu asks if she's hurt, or if her family's okay. Rinko shakes her head. She's fine, but her family is gone. Even her grandmother has disappeared. She grips Shu's arm as she says it, her voice trembling somewhere between fear and possessiveness. The camera cuts to inside the house as the 3 of them head upstairs to Rinko's room. They talk about Sakuko, about how they need to do something fast. That's when Rinko drops a quiet bombshell. No one can leave the town. She tells us to look out the window, and sure enough, the bridge has been destroyed, like something had smashed it in half. Shu tries to stay calm, suggesting they could still escape using the highway. Hinako asks if he means the mountain path behind his house. Rinko asks if they can really make it, and Shu assures her that he knows a shortcut. Before they leave, Shu mentions they should gather supplies. Medicine, bandages, anything that might help. Rinko says there's a first aid kit in the kitchen and offers to grab it. Hinako insists on going with her. Out on the landing, the atmosphere shifts. The lighting darkens, and the music drops to an uneasy hum. The camera lingers on Rinko's face. Her expression hardens, almost predatory. Then Hinako noticed something. The doll, sitting beside scrawled words on the floor. Beware, Rinko. Suddenly we fall, crashing to the ground. The screen fades to black. When we come to, everything's changed again. We're lying on the cold floor of the dark shrine. Hinako slowly gets up, picking up her lantern. Her voice trembles as she whispers, "What happened?" Moving forward, we spot Foxmask in the distance, walking through the next set of doors. We call out, asking why he can't just wait. But he doesn't stop, so we follow. The path splits left and right. A sudden crash as splintering wood to our right startles us. Investigating the noise, we step into a dimly lit building and find another note. This one's just titled, "A Messy Scrawl." The handwriting is erratic, the message gleeful. The writer ranting about how they can barely contain themselves when thinking of the girl before last. It's a chilling hint that Hinako might not be the first person to endure whatever's happening here. After checking the rest of the room, we head back out and around, coming to a door that's locked. We'll find the key soon. Nearby, there's another door marked with Onori-sama's emblem. We can't open this one yet, it's reserved for New Game Plus onward, but it'll carry major significance later. Beside it, we collect another Ima. Pushing deeper into the area, we duck under a low shelf and find the storage room key, the one for that locked door from before. Heading back, we go to the end of the room and we notice an odd pedestal missing something. We'll need to return here soon. Backtracking to the locked door, we unlock it and step inside. We duck under another set of shelves and spot a note. The title alone is enough to make us uneasy. A warning. It reads, "Hinako is mine. Her fingers, her lips, every last drop of blood that can be squeezed from her is mine. I forbid anyone from laying so much as a finger on her. I shall say it until my throat is raw. Hinako is mine." Even reading it feels wrong, like the words themselves hint at something darker. Nearby, the doll returns again, sitting beside a frantic scrawl. "Don't believe the fox's words. Stay away from the western room." As we leave, we notice a nearby door that was previously locked is now open. Hinako whispers under her breath, "Wasn't that close before?" We ignore the warning and step inside. One of the walls in the western room has 4 portraits of girls. As we walk through, 3 of the paintings crash to the ground, leaving only one still hanging. The one that looks eerily like Hinako, but with no face painted on. Behind one of the falling paintings, a message is scratched into the wall. "Don't trust him." On a table in the room, we find the Inari sculpture, the item needed to continue. We backtrack to the pedestal from earlier and place the sculpture onto it. The shelf shifts aside, revealing a gap in the wall. Crawling through, a cutscene triggers. When we regain control, we run forward and pick up a new weapon, the Naginata. Looking closely at the hilt, there's a faint bird insignia etched just below the blade. Hinako's name roughly translates to young bird or baby bird, and that insignia will be mentioned in a note in a later playthrough. We take out the nearby monster and notice our lantern is shattered. Before the creature respawns, we move on, finding a note that describes the distinctive pattern on the blade's steel. Continuing down the corridor, we finally reach the door Fox Mask disappeared through. The twin fox statues on either side stare down at us again, each with a slot in its mouth. We need to find something to place there. Heading east, we hear Sakuko's voice calling out faintly. We follow it, calling back, but get no reply. Suddenly, a monster drops from above, blocking our path. After taking it down, we enter the room behind it and gather supplies, including a new Omamori, Hawk. The ominous ambient music here is incredible. It reminds me of the expert music that you find in a Final Fantasy game. Moving deeper, we enter a library filled with old notes and ledgers. Among them, a housemaid's note that claims the family is cursed, and 2 family physician logs describing strange symptoms in their patients. Sakuko's voice echoes again, closer this time, begging us to come to her. We follow, but there's still no response. As we reach a building, we cut down a few more enemies and squeeze into the room beyond. Inside, there's a Hakora, a perfect place to save our progress. After saving, we exit the room and head a little further on. We come across the final building. The voice calls again, softer, almost pleading. We push open the door and step inside. We call her name one more time and approach the altar, where we find a stone orb. The moment we pick it up, a cutscene plays, and the atmosphere snaps. A new monster manifests, an amalgamation of porcelain doll faces fused together, its body chirking in distorted, rhythmic hops, like a child playing. The red hue floods back in, and the migraines hit immediately. We have to get back to the sacred door. Now. Monsters pouring from every corner, but it's smarter to run than fight. All the while, Sakuko's voice twists and warps, her words venomous, calling us a traitor. We apologize, but she doesn't reply. At last, we reach the door. We place the stone orb into the statue's mouth and shove it open. Heading inside and pushing the door shut, the red mist collapses behind us, and the headaches stop. The tension lifts. For now. Inside the room is filled with supplies. On the table lies a rare, one-time use item, the Blessed Hand Mirror. If we take fatal damage, it'll shatter, fully restoring our health, stamina, and sanity. It's clear what's coming next. A boss fight. We step through the next door, out onto a bridge, and the pre-fight cutscene begins. This is our first major boss fight, against Sakuko, or a Sakuko-like entity. I will dive deeper into this fight in a later section. Throughout the fight, she mocks us, calling us a traitor. Most of her attacks can be dodged, though her grab deals heavy damage. After taking some hits, she begins teleporting around the arena, charging a devastating ranged attack. There's a bonus achievement here, interrupt her before she can unleash it. Do this 6 times, and she finally goes down. In the cutscene that follows, Sakuko lunges at us again, but before the blow lands, Fox Mask appears, blocking the strike. He takes several hits before banishing her completely. When we ask what just happened, he assures us it'll haunt us no longer. He helps us to our feet and says softly, "To live in this world is to walk among impurities. But fear not, we can ward them off." Watch Hinako's body language here. She doesn't argue. She just follows. The signs of manipulation are already there. Subtle, but growing. He leads us through another set of doors, telling us we must purify ourselves. He demonstrates the ritual first, calmly washing his hands in the basin and drinking the water. But when it's our turn, the illusion breaks. The water turns into lava. Panicked, we hesitate, but Fox Mask insists it's only water. We perform the ritual and drink. The air thickens, we collapse to our knees, the world wavers. Steam rises, distorting everything around us. And then the doll appears once more. Beside it, another scrawl. Don't trust the Fox Mask. The screen fades to black. And so ends Act 1 of Silent Hill F. Act 2 opens with the camera fading in on Hinako's body, crumpled at the bottom of the Rinko's stairs. We can see that part of her uniform, her right arm specifically, has been torn completely off. At first glance, it might just seem like wear and tear from falling, but it holds a deeper meaning, one that I sadly can't go into during this first playthrough. She rushes over, telling us to wake up. As we come to, Rinko calls us a cult, saying that we fell down the stairs. Rinko is really trying to hide her true nature from Shu here. Shu mentions her arm, but we brush it off, saying we must have just caught our sleeve on something. Telling Shu that we are fine, we all begin to leave. Rinko asks if Shu will protect her, as she isn't as tough as us. He tells her he will. Both we and Rinko try to leave through the door at the same time, but Rinko just pushes past us, further proving that she really doesn't like us being around. We decide on an order, Shu in front, Rinko in the middle, and us covering the rear. Taking one last look at the house, we get a brief flashback of Rinko's face before she pushed us down the stairs, and we regain control. Heading all the way back the way we came, we head back down the path where the Aratabare mini-boss was. The pathway is blocked completely, and Hinako says out loud, "Where did that big one go?" Heading back, we then follow the next path, soon seeing Shu and Rinko as Shu calls out to us. A small cutscene plays, where Shu asks if we're okay, and asks if there are no monsters following us. We say no, and that we're fine. Rinko then asks how much longer Shu is going to keep calling us partner, saying that he talks to us like we're a schoolboy. He says that he calls us his partner because that's what we are, and that he has never treated us like a girl. To which we acknowledge and confirm that he has never done that. After the scene, we find ourselves on the path that was previously blocked, that had the low roar sound from earlier. This is the path next to the one to Sakuko's shrine. Backtracking to where the doctor's house is, we see Shu and Rinko in the fog. Upon reaching them, another cutscene plays. Shu mentions that there seems to be more of the weird monsters from earlier about now, Hinako says that there was all sorts of weird aliens that kept popping up when they played Space Wars together. Rinko says that when Hinako talks to Shu, she sounds kind of manly, and Hinako says that she just got used to talking this way. Shu says that they had been hanging out with each other since they were little kids, and then Rinko says that's why they never got into a relationship, again showing her passive-aggressive nature. Shu passes it off and says that they should get moving. Backtracking through the town, we see that the fungus has started to spread. We replace one of our steel pipes with a baseball bat and move onwards. Heading into the side street where we found the inventory space upgrade, we eventually see Shu and we get another cutscene. We see that the candy store has been completely taken over by the fungus and see another Araabare along with some other monsters. Rinko spots the Araabare and gets startled. Something I would like to point out here, which has been the source of many memes since the game came out. Hinako in all cutscenes is always shown with a steel pipe in hand, even if you enter the cutscene with something else equipped instead. Just something I thought was rather funny. Shu wonders if the monsters are spreading across the entire town. Then he suggests we head to the middle school and take the mountain path from there. It will take a little longer, but we will avoid the town and therefore avoid the monsters. After regaining control, there is a bonus achievement we can get here. If we defeat the Araabare in front of the candy store, we get an achievement, so we do just that. Araabare down and a quick repair of the baseball bat later, we head down the street to what was previously a dead end. A truck that was once blocking our path has now been pushed aside and off the road. Heading into the back streets, we encounter a few more monsters while collecting supplies. We also find a new consumable, chocolate. Slightly restores sanity and gives the added effect of sanity not being drained while using focus for a short time. Further on through the back streets, we hear the sound of something smashing. Rinko getting startled, and Shu saying that something just flew by them. Rinko then shouts saying that they should get out of there. Following the path to the end, we run into a dead end. Hinako wonders aloud where Rinko and Shu are, and when we backtrack, we hear the sound of wood breaking. Rinko then appears and tells us to head that way. Heading down that way, we soon reach a new enemy. It has no cutscene introducing it. This monster has the same model as the blind monster in the first Dark Shrine area, except its face has fungus on it. Taking down the monster, we enter a nearby house. Once inside, the door slams shut behind us, marking the house as a soft point of no return. Heading through the house, we head into the kitchen, which causes a monster to spawn. After dispatching the monster, we pick up a new weapon, one of the most powerful weapons in the game, the kitchen knife. We replace our sickle with this. In the next room, we find a radio, the transmission on it saying we're not in our right mind right now, and that we're just lost, telling us to trust them, and that they're the only one who truly understands us. Heading down the stairs, we open another door. A new monster type, one that spawns the fungus on the ground, which can grab you. They can also scream that will stun you and drain a little of your sanity. Taking down the monster, we hop out of the window. Heading to the right, we follow it to the end and find another email, along with the sound of a monster jumping to us just off screen. Heading back to the window and heading slightly in the other direction, we can hear Rinko and Shu having a conversation. Rinko telling Shu to give up on us, and Shu saying he doesn't know what to do. Heading back to the window, we go right again, and up the stairs towards the Hakora. This was where we found the cone earlier in the game. Following the path, we meet up with Rinko and Shu, and a cutscene plays. Rinko says Shu is lying, and asks whether he thinks he can fool Hinako. After Shu sees us, he says that we're late, and that he was worried about us. Rinko then mocks him a little, and says that he wasn't worried about us at all, and that he knew that his dear partner would be alright. We head up the stairs, which looks more eerie now it has fungus around it. We follow the path, hearing the gurgling sounds of the new Dark Shrine monster type. Heading through the now open gate, we run past the monsters and up the mountain path. Close to the Hakora is a house which we hide beside to get out of the line of sight. Past the Hakora, we find a split in the road. We take the right path, and at the top of the stairs, we find Rinko and Shu again. along with another cutscene. Shu is clearly slightly annoyed with Rinko at this point. She says she won't stop saying it until he snaps back to reality. She then drops an ominous bombshell. She says Hinako is dead. When I first heard this line, I got chills run up my spine, and it made me start to question what the entire storyline was about whether it meant Hinako was dead physically or metaphorically. Either way, it is a chilling scene, and it stuck with me going forward. We climb the rest of the stairs and head into the school. Another cutscene. The gate to the mountain pass is locked. But Hinako says there was never a lock on the gate. Shu says that the key should be somewhere in the school. Rinko whines about wanting to have a break as we all head inside. Shu carefully opens the door to a classroom and heads inside cautiously. Once knowing the coast is clear, Rinko rushes inside and collapses into a chair, saying she needs a break. Shu, assuming we're also tired, says that we can rest and he'll go and see if he can find the key. Rinko, being the possessive person she is, says that she needs Shu to stay with her, and ultimately forces us to go and find the key ourselves. Rinko says that Shu was always leading the way, and says that we were just tagging along behind us. Rinko is really using every chance she can get to act controlling and possessive. She catches on to Rinko saying we just tagged along, but Hinako says to not worry about it and for them to just rest. We exit the classroom and regain control. Heading through the next door and into the school proper, we step outside and climb the stairs. Next to the Hokora is an origami of rumors. It's a tradition in Ebisugaoka where kids would write gossip about people they hated and put it in a place where the person could see it. It is said that by reading them, you can put those complaints to rest. We will find a bunch of these around the area. Hinako says that the Hokora here is older than the school. Heading back into the school, the first two doors we find are locked. Heading into a small room, we find a blackboard on the wall saying that the second floor is locked and that we need a key to enter. We find out from a note that the key to the second floor is in the desk drawer, which is also locked, so we will need to find a way to get into the drawer. Heading on through the first floor, the door to a classroom is open, but before heading in there, we enter the boys' locker room. There is a locker in here we can open, but we will open it later. Heading into the classroom, we play the radio. A child through the radio is saying that we had our chance and that they found us. Almost as if it's a child playing hide and seek. On the ground in the classroom is a note saying about how they was able to open the previous desk drawer by using a hairpin on it. This is our next objective, finding a hairpin. One quick look over the journal and we find out that Sakako left her hairpin near the basket inside the rabbit hutch. So that becomes our next destination. Jumping out of the window to the outside, we can see an Araabare in the distance. Eventually making our way past it and ducking into the rabbit hutch, we pan the camera to the left and see that an Aya Kakashi is frozen still outside. On the rabbit hutch is another origami of rumors. The writer on this one explains how they always despise this one girl, how she pretends that she isn't a girl, even though she is far cuter than everyone else. It's not clear who this is about, but I get the feeling it could be about Hinako herself. Picking up the hairpin that has a small rabbit design, it's clear to me that Sakako must have liked rabbits. Heading back out of the hutch, we notice the Ayakakashi from before has vanished. Just as a small aside, while I was writing that exact line, I heard a loud bang outside my street. It sent a chill up my spine, And honestly, reviewing the footage while writing this script has me completely on edge. This is the kind of effect Silent Hill excels at. Running back to the window and jumping into the classroom, the atmosphere within the school has changed slightly. Heading out of the classroom, we hear the sound of a little girl giggling, and within the halls of the first floor, there are now Aya Kakashis, all standing perfectly still. Any one of them could lash out at any moment, raising the tension even further. Heading back into the teacher's storeroom, we open up the drawer with the hairpin and get the second floor stair key. Heading up to the second floor, we hear the sound of a piano. We then head into the second floor. We find our old classroom and walk inside, the door closing shut behind us. This startles Hinako for a second. We learn that we sat near the front of the classroom and that Rinko sat behind us. Exploring the room a little, we find another origami of rumors, this one far more sinister. It reads, "She should just disappear. I hope someone kills her, or abducts her. I don't care. Just whatever gets Hinako out of my life once and for all." Then, a chilling realization hits. Is this Rinko's handwriting? The words linger in Hinako's mind. It's not looking good for Rinko. Her callous nature is starting to show through more and more. Heading over to Rinko's desk, we find a letter, and within it lies the first clue for the puzzle: sweet and tart fruitcake. The box nearby can be rotated, each section showing different pictures. To solve this part, we need to match all the images connected to sweet or tart foods. The second letter gives us another clue, filling up one journal after another with our thoughts. For this stage, we need to select every picture related to books or writing. Finally, the third clue, blooming sakura. This one's simple. Just find the sakura flower in bloom. Once the final part clicks into place, we uncover the last letter, Rinko's confession of love to Shu. But judging by the untouched envelope, it seems he never read it. With that, we also obtain the key to all the second floor classrooms. Heading towards the door to the classroom again, we hear the soft sound of Junko's voice. She asks us if we want to stay with our friends forever, talking about how they would betray us just like we betrayed them, saying it's up to us to decide if their worth is justified. We call out to her, but she doesn't answer. Unlocking the classroom door and heading outside, Junko has disappeared. Regaining control again, we see that the flowers and fungus has now spread to the school. It's spreading fast. We unlock one of the classroom doors and find the key to the old annex. We can get to this place via the first floor of the school, along with a note saying that Ayumi from the track and field club had found the key for the key box that we're looking for, and that she may have left it in her locker. When we exit the classroom, we see that the Aya Kakashi have now made it up to the second floor. One particular one that looks like Shu, looking rather creepy bathed in the light. Opening another classroom door, we find another origami of rumors. This saying that the code to TT's locker is 377. Heading down to the first floor again, the Aya Kakashi are now gone. We head up the stairs in the middle of the first floor, all the way up to the door to the old annex. The atmosphere up here is eerie and suffocating. The flowers and fungus are all over the walls and the floor. Heading into the furthest room on the left-hand side, we find a note on the teacher's desk. Asakura Ayumi, row 4, line 2. This is a clue for where the key to the girls' locker room is. Nearby is a note with a clue to how the locks on the lockers work. Simple letter to number codes. SEE translates into 533. On Ayumi's desk, we find the locker room key and with it the clue to her locker combination. SEA. 534. We find another origami and it mentions the combination is the same as the person's name, AOI 401. Exiting the classroom, we find that the Air Kakashi have now made it into the annex. Here I show off a neat little mechanic. When you're not looking at the Air Kakashi, they move towards you, if they're one of the hostile ones. Think of them like the weeping angels from Doctor Who, frozen the moment you look their way, but the instant your back is turned, they advance. And if you let them get close enough while you're not watching, they attack. Taking down the Air Kakashi, we are met with another, positioned in a place where it can jump scare you. The very first playthrough I did on this game, before I decided to make a retrospective for the game, I was completely caught off guard by this one. It successfully scared me. We head into another classroom for a toolkit and then head back downstairs to the first floor, heading into the boys' locker room. We use the code 401 on Ai's locker. Inside, we find an origami saying that Suga's locker code looks like a cry for help. SOS 505. Using the locker key to open the girls' locker room, Hinako remarks saying that this takes her back to her track and field days. Heading to TT's, Tsuchiya Taiko's locker, we open her locker with the code found previously. Inside, a new Omamori, Wolf. Next we put in the code for Suga's locker and find our school bag, another inventory space upgrade. Hinako wonders to herself why her school bag is in Suga's locker, and we move on to Ayumi's locker, input the code and finally get the key cabinet key. Our quest in the school is almost over. Heading out of the locker room, the Air Kakashis have returned to the first floor, but this time, some of them are hostile. Running into the storeroom and opening the key cabinet, the hostile Air Kakashis despawn. I, unknowingly at the time, forgot to pick up the key, but I'm glad I did, as returning to the classroom that Shu and Rinko are in give off a little bit of dialogue. Shu says Hinako is suffering and that he can't just do nothing. Rinko replies with a callous remark, chiding him about still calling us his partner and to accept that we're gone. Heading back into the school, we see that all the Air Kakashi have despawned now. Picking up the key to the back mountains, we head back into the classroom. A cutscene plays, where Rinko says that they can play their own version of Space Wars. She says she can either be his partner, or some kind of femme fatale. A femme fatale is an attractive and seductive woman, likely to cause disaster to any man who becomes involved with her. Again, Rinko's true nature is coming out. We enter and say we found the key. Handing the key over, both Shu and Rinko insist we rest. They say they will keep watch while we sleep. As we drift off, Rinko continues her earlier conversation, saying that Shu likes that kind of thing, which he denies. The screen fades to black, and just like that, the ordinary world dissolves again. We're back in the dark shrine. Back to Fox Mask. Fox Mask says that we once saved his life, laying claim to his soul, and that in turn he will save our soul by claiming the soul of our old self. He is holding his mask in his hand, showing that he's not currently wearing it. As we wake, we catch a small glimpse of his face, but he notices this and hastily puts his mask back on. We pass out again and wake up sometime later, with our head resting on his knee. He tells us not to push ourselves and that we need rest. We try to get up and he remarks that the purifying water was perhaps too strong for us, noting how delicate we are. He then praises us and says we have done well thus far. As he places his hand on our head, a sharp music cue happens, as if signaling the manipulation is getting slightly stronger. We head through the door into the next area. the worship hall. Foxmask tells us he'll go on ahead to make some preparations, and instructs us to bid our farewells. Hinako answers with a hollow, detached yes. I'm playing with the Japanese voice acting, so it's not the English yes, but you can still hear it, that emptiness creeping into her tone. Another quiet sign that the manipulation is taking hold. Ahead of us are two statues, each opening a door, one to the left and one to the right. We start by interacting with the right statue, and the right door opens. We head through the door and follow the path, ending up in Sakuko's room. This section is dedicated to Sakuko. On the nearby desk, there is a note from Sakuko's parents to her teacher apologizing for Sakuko's behavior. This entire Dark Shrine section is built around locked doors and switches. A blue door, a grey door, a green door, and a red door. One switch toggles between the blue and grey doors, the other between the red and green. We have to navigate our way through the area using these switches. But in this room, there's only one switch, the grey to blue switch. We flip it, and the blue door ahead opens, but an enemy spawns, introducing a new mechanic. In certain parts of Sakuko's section, there are blue lanterns. Defeating an enemy in one of these rooms, it'll never respawn again. This is the bonus achievement for this section, to defeat all the monsters in Sakuko's area within the blue lantern areas. I won't mention every single monster I kill here, but I do end up defeating all of them and earning the achievement. We head into the next room and hear Sakuko call out to us, this time sounding scared and alone. We flip the switch from blue to grey and head into the next area, through the red door and into the locker room. On the bench there is a note from Sakuko. I will dive into these a little later on. Flipping the red to green switch, we head on through the green door, ducking into another room for another note. Eventually, after playing around with switches, we make it back through the original blue door in Sakuko's room. Flipping the next switch again, back to grey, we now head through the previously closed green door. Heading down the path, Sakuko speaks again, saying we made a promise together, and that we'd be together forever. Heading into the room to our right, my earlier suspicion about Sakuko liking rabbits gets confirmed. Hinako mentions that Sakuko loved rabbits, and my heart sinks a little. I've always loved animals myself, and even owned rabbits in the past. Anytime a person, real or fictional, who loves animals meets a tragic fate, it hits me hard. Call me soppy if you want, but animals are precious creatures, and seeing that connection woven into Silent Hill's F tragedy makes it all the more painful. Inside the rabbit hutch, we find another note, written by a much younger Sakuko. She writes to one of her rabbit friends, saying she's made her first friend, us, and how scared she is, since she's never had a real human friend before. It perfectly encapsulates how lonely Sakuko's life has been, making her story arc even more tragic. I will go into this in more detail towards the end of the retrospective. Flipping the switch, we head through the newly opened door and follow the path onward. Another note lies ahead, this one explaining how Sakuko's family has served as shrine caretakers for generations, and her quiet wish to become head priest one day. We flip the final switch and head towards the final blue door that we could only open after coming all this way and flipping the switches in this specific order. Heading to the end of the room, we see Sakuko at the end, isolated in a cage. She's alone, just as she's felt her entire life. We find a note with a cryptic clue about what to do next. Turning around, we spot two rotating statues and align them so they face each other. Doing so unlocks a lampshade. We place it over one of the lights in the room and the space begins to darken. Sakuko panics. She's afraid of the dark. We cover the second lamp and her fear intensifies. As her panic builds, The key unlocks. The moment we pick it up, a cutscene plays. Sakako pleads with us, begs us not to leave her. But Hinako just stares, blank and silent. The manipulation is getting even stronger. She turns and walks away. The door closes behind her and the room fades into darkness. I want to give props to the fantastic voice work from Sakako's Japanese voice actor, Eri Goda, in this scene. Her screams of terror sound genuinely distressed, raw, haunting, and painfully human. Just listen. Key in hand, we head back into the locker room. All doors are now unlocked. Hidden in the green door room we couldn't reach before lies another Omamori, Bull. We then turn around and head out of Sakako's area, placing the key in the hole by the statue. The door ahead opens, but there's another one behind it. Interacting with the left statue this time, the left door opens and we head through it. Heading down the corridor into Rinko's section of the worship hall, the contrast is striking. There is ash floating in the air. Moving into the main area, we see Rinko in a cage, suspended above a pit of lava. Perfect for her volatile nature. This time around, the switches in this area rotate between red and blue, and green and grey. Flipping the switches to the red and green are active, we head through the red and green drawers, and make our way to the next green door and into Rinko's room. On the floor is a crumpled up note, with unfinished musings on it. On the desk in the room is a small lamp. After we activate it, the mood shifts. This is the mechanic for Rinko's area. We have to shift the isolated space the room is in to something else. After we do this, we can interact with the dolls in the room. After interacting with them, they turn, revealing a grotesque new look. Our goal is to find 3 crests in the area, one in each major part of Rinko's section. After interacting with 3 dolls, we find the rightward facing fox crest. Heading out of the room, we find ourselves teleported back to the main hub of the area. Walking forward, we get jump scared and grabbed, taking a chunk of damage. After taking out the monster, I decide to change out my Omamori to Pine, just for the slight increase in HP. Swapping the switches to blue and grey, we head into the bottom of the map, entering an isolated space at the candy store. On the nearby bench is a note, a letter from Rinko to Hinako. Rinko is saying that she'll always look out for us and ends the note with, "From your best friend, Rinko." We interact with the lamp in the area and the isolated space shifts. The blind monster from earlier in the game spawns, and we take it down. Eventually, we find the next crest, leftwards facing Fox Crest. In this space where the letter to Hinako was, is a new note. It's exactly the same as the previous one, but it has some eerie extra lines. A big standout to Rinko's character is the following from this updated note. "I'll always be looking out for both you and Sakako. Because when I look after you 2 pitiful creatures, it makes me feel so superior. Like a teacher, or a parent, or a pet owner even. From your best friend, Rinko." Her main notes in this area can't be obtained till New Game Plus, and I might touch on them lightly here when we get to it, but I will go into them a lot more towards the end. Heading out of the area, we are once more teleported to the main hub, and we place the 2 crests onto the machine. Rinko drops closer to the lava and taunts us slightly. Flipping around switches so we can enter the western room, we finally enter, and we're inside a classroom. In the corner is a note, saying how Rinko is to be class president once again, like last semester. We interact with the lamp in this room too, and shift the isolated space. Again, another note is in the same place as the previous, with extra writing depicting Rinko looking down on the others. We head to the lone desk in the middle of the room and find the final crest. With the forward-facing fox crest in hand, we leave the room back to the main hub. Hinako commenting that she and Rinko can now go their separate ways. Putting the final crest into the machine, a cutscene plays. Hinako has the same blank expression as when bidding farewell to Sakuko. Rinko berates us, calling us a traitor as she sinks into the lava. A fitting end to a character who looks down on everyone she meets. We receive the key and head out of the area and place the key into the lock. The final door opens and we head onward. This final section belongs to Shu, and it's straightforward. We must find his missing possession, or several depending on puzzle difficulty, and place it on the pedestal. Heading through the top left door, we move through the halls, looting supplies as we go. After flipping a switch from red to blue, we advance. The sound of scurrying fills the air. An enemy. After dispatching it, we collect another Ima. Following the path, we find another switch. Flipping it back to red opens the next door. We push through a floral patterned door and the cutscene triggers. What follows is one of the most grotesque mini-boss introductions in the game. I won't spoil it here, I'll just let the scene play. After that delightful cutscene, we face the creature. It spawns cocoons that birth smaller enemies, but a few quick spear thrusts destroy them. We alternate between focus attacks and heavy strikes, eventually bringing the creature down. Because of the blue lantern in the room, it disappears permanently upon defeat. Upstairs, we destroy another cocoon, and near the switch sits a Brainiac hero comic on a small shelf. After picking it up and taking out a sudden ambush from below, we flip the switch. Crossing to the other side, we head through the blue door and return to Shu's main hub. Placing the comic on the pedestal triggers a cutscene. Content warning for this next part. Shu hangs suspended by chains, one looped around his neck. Hinako looks up at him, that same distant expression as before. He tells us he'll always respect our choice, whatever it is. We pull the nearby lever. The chains retract. Shu falls. Leaving him behind, we step through the next door. Foxmask greets us. He admits it must be painful to bid farewell to childhood friends, but Hinako says it had to be done. The sooner the better. She even apologizes for what he just witnessed. He replies that he should be the one begging for forgiveness for forcing such pain upon us. But this isn't the only pain that lies ahead for Hinako. As we take a few steps forward beside him, another searing headache strikes. The world warps and shifts, and suddenly, we wake up in the middle school classroom. After waking up, we call out to Shu and Rinko. No answer. They said they would keep watch over us while we slept. But where are they? Heading out of the school, we see that the mountain gate has been unlocked and is open. Hinako questions out loud that the plan was to meet up at Shu's place, right? And we walk through the gate. Immediately, a headache hits us, and the fog materializes behind us, along with monsters. We run, and in this cutscene, we get a very brief outline of what could be within the fog. A large-looking headdress, a clawed arm. It swipes at us, and we fall down. A tree then falls down just in front of us, stopping the fog monster's advance. This is not the last we have seen of it. Standing back up, we regain control. We head up the stairs. Maybe Rinko and Shu had to get away from the fog monster. Maybe that's why they had to leave us behind. But it doesn't make sense. Shu would never do that. Continuing through the area, Hinako says that they maybe had no choice to go on without her. That has to be it. Next to the Hokora, we find a strange note. I'm sorry, something urgent came up, so I can't come with you. Just trust me and continue down the path we decided. I'll get everything ready and wait for you. These notes, from my interpretation, may have been written by Mayumi, as it doesn't make sense for them to have been written by Shu. Further in the area, another note, more erratic. To whoever finds this, please, immediately. There's... Here. I beg you. Help. This note makes me feel uneasy, and with the running theory in my mind that this was written by Mayumi, her desperation starts to sink in. At the end of the area, there's a set of wooden planks blocking the way. We try to lure the two monsters away from the planks, and sort of succeed, and then move them out of the way and continue on. This next area is somewhat of a maze. Navigating our way through and picking up supplies, we eventually come to a locked gate. Next to it, a map on a wooden board, kind of like the maps you would find on a woodland trail. Next to the map, another note. I locked our sanctuary to protect it, but don't you worry, because I have the key. I'll be waiting for you at the mountain refuge. I won't let anyone or anything hurt you anymore. I'll protect you until the end of time itself. I'll stay by your side until death do us part. This note doesn't seem to be written by Mayumi, but it feels in line with what is currently happening to Hinako. These are just my own interpretations from reviewing the footage while writing this script. Ducking under the next tree, we head towards the mountain refuge. On a tree, another strange note. The view's great, isn't it? I've always wanted to see it with you. You're probably alright if you've made it this far. But just to be sure, you're not being followed by anyone, right? This is our own private sanctuary. We don't need anyone else. The notes are slowly becoming more sinister. Heading on, we find yet another email. For now, I am just collecting them, and by the time we're in playthrough 3, I will be finally using them. We hop down to the refuge and pick up the nearby crowbar, an excellent upgrade to the steel pipe. Heading to the nearby woodpile, we shift it out of the way, as we will be making a quick escape really shortly. Heading back to the nearby Hokora, we pick up the metal gate key, along with one final note. You've come such a long way. You're doing so well. You don't need to worry about your silly old mundane world anymore. We'll break free from all of that here. Welcome to our sanctuary. The others are overjoyed to have you as a new addition. The same kind of phrasing, the same kind of manipulative tone. It's obvious to me that this was the moment that Mayumi got spirited away. Upon picking up this note, a monster spawns, and we rush to the now open escape route. As we jump down, the second chase begins. Chase 2, much like the first, has a bonus achievement tied to it, completing it without taking any damage. This time though, it's a little trickier. There are monsters to avoid, and the terrain feels tighter, more hostile. The chase itself unfolds in two parts, with a brief moment of respite halfway through. I'll just let the footage play out for you. After the chase, a short cutscene plays. The fog monster can't pass through the entrance of the shrine we fell into. It's as if some divine power is keeping it out. Regaining control, we head up the stairs instead of following the path with the Hakora. Soon, we come across Sakuko's old shrine. Hinako mentions that she heard it used to be quite popular, but that visitors stopped coming after a fire broke out. A little further on are the remains of what once was a majestic divine tree. At its base lies a note describing a sacred sword. We can't obtain this in the first playthrough, but in New Game Plus it becomes one of, if not the, most powerful weapons in the game. Backtracking to the Hakora, we take the lower path and eventually reach Shu's house. We call out for him. No answer. Circling around the house, we find the shed and head inside. On the desk is a key to Shu's front door, along with a note. It describes Hinako's headaches and how Shu ultimately gave her the red capsules. In a New Game Plus run, if you manage to make it to Shu's house without using a single capsule, you'll unlock the other endings. Heading inside Shu's house to wait for him, a short cutscene plays. We look over a photo of Shu resting on a nearby shelf, and I have to give credit to the developers here. It's a subtle detail, but since the game takes place in the 1960s, the photo is in black and white. A small touch that grounds the era perfectly. Suddenly, a noise breaks silence. Hinako opens the door, and a bestial arm grabs her, dragging her outside and throwing her to the ground. We see the fog monster again, this time in physical form, though only its legs are shown. The game still refuses to reveal the full creature. Hinako passes out. When we awaken, we're no longer in the real world. We're hand in hand with Fox Mask, standing in the Nightmare Realm once again. We're now moving towards what is ultimately the culmination of Act 2. A sequence that I feel is one of, if not the most important in the game. Major content warning for this entire section, as it dials the horror and gore up to 11, and stands as the pinnacle of everything that's come before. Fox Mask tells us that the path ahead is one of great pain and suffering. Hinako says that she knows, and that she is not afraid. still with the same distant-sounding voice. Fox Mask tells us that here we will be performing 3 rituals. Behind Fox Mask, we can see the doll next to a scroll on the wood. Run! Hurry! There's no going back! Hinako, now almost fully taken in by Fox Mask's influence, doesn't notice as they continue down the steps, hand in hand. Fox Mask disappears, and Hinako remarks that she may not see him, but feels that he is with her. Regaining control, Hinako immediately says, "I will do what I must to be the perfect person for you." We follow in the direction that Fox Mask heads in and open a set of doors. As soon as we enter the area, there is a note, another family physician's log. The note mentions Fox possession, and we will dive deeper in on this later. Moving onwards and entering a room with a Hakora, we find another note, titled Solemn Letter. "Halt the spread of corruption from the mortal world on thy hand, and cleanse it to a silver and noble sheen. Rejoice, Hinako, and be welcome." We are expected. They're waiting for us. To the east of the area, 2 blue torches burn in the distance, marking our destination. Following Fox Mask up the left set of stairs and down the corridor to the end, we arrive at another set of doors. Beyond them lies the first ritual chamber. As a brief aside, I've had to take a moment to compose myself before scripting this part. This is where Silent Hill F fully shows us its extreme horror factor. The shock and gore are dialed up to 11. Final content warning. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. I'll include a timestamp on screen for those who wish to skip past all 3 ritual segments. Entering the chamber, Fox Mask walks beside us towards the center of the room. As we reach the middle, everything starts to fade. We briefly lose consciousness and then awaken, sitting on a small stool in the heart of the ritual space. Fox Mask kneels nearby, his tone calm, almost reassuring. He tells us that he's right here, right by our side. A shrine maiden approaches, carrying a ceremonial case. Inside it rests an arm, pale white, covered in fur, with long, bestial claws. She sets it carefully upon the altar as 2 more shrine maidens step up behind us. The music sharpens, an eerie and discordant tone pressing down on the air. A signal that what's about to happen is something we can never come back from. The maiden gestures towards our right hand, the one with the torn sleeve. We extend it. She pours water over it, as if purifying it, preparing it for the ritual. Fox Mask hands us a leather gag, placing it gently between our teeth. Something to bite down on when the pain begins. And then we see it. The realization of what's about to happen sinks in. One of the maidens steps forward, carrying a large, jagged knife. Hinako takes it. She hesitates, breathing heavily. Then, knowing what must be done, begins. I thought about cutting this section out, but I feel it's important to conclude to truly convey the horror of this moment and the irreversible transformation that shapes the rest of Hinako's story. The blade carves through flesh and bone, a slow, dreadful act. Blood pools thick beneath her, the sound of it muffled by her stifled screams. With one final motion, the arm is severed. Throughout the ordeal, one of the maidens grips her arm tightly, keeping it steady. Her severed limb is placed into another case, and the white, clawed arm is grafted onto her body. As sensation returns, it feels wrong. alien, like the arm isn't truly our own. Fox Mask tells us he's proud of us. The first stage of Hinako's transformation is complete. Hinako passes out again and soon wakes. Fox Mask tells us that he's given us painkillers, asking if it still hurts. Hinako replies saying it doesn't hurt and that her arm just feels a little bit tense. Shakily standing up, she says to do the next ritual, assuring Fox Mask that she is fine. After regaining control, Hinako says that her new arm is beautiful. With this new arm, a new combat mechanic is introduced. We will go over this soon. Heading up the stairs, Fox Mask again tells us that we have done well. Heading through the area, we are given the opportunity to try out our new arm in combat. After defeating the enemy with the Fox arm, we can press and hold A to use Soul Siphon. This will completely prevent enemies from respawning. Kills made with the focus ability will also prevent enemies from respawning. While fighting this enemy, Hinako says, "I am Shimizu Hinako no more. I will prove that I am worth this gift you have given me." With the first stage of the transformation complete, Hinako is almost completely under Fox Mask's influence. Heading onwards, we find out that with this new arm, we can now start opening some of the doors, but not all of them. Heading into a room in the west of the area, now we have the Fox arm, we find our next Omamori, Crow. I remove Pine and replace it with this for now, just for the small HP gain after killing an enemy. Another housemaid's note is close by, mentioning that the child is a descendant of the Tsuneki family. Heading back into the room with Hakora, there is another solemn letter. "Thy lovely silver arm grows strong. Thy figure no longer mortal, but divine. Onto thy limb has the power of purification been bestowed. Grace us now with thy newfound strength." We are being molded into what they want us to be. Heading to the bottom right of the map, we take out the blind monster and pass through the door behind it. After clearing the fixed encounter in this room, we step into the next ritual chamber. Fox Mask was beside us once again, and just like before, the screen fades to black. When it fades back in, Hinako sits at the center of the chamber, Fox Mask in front of her. Two shrine maidens approach, one carrying a long iron rod, its tip glowing red hot. It's immediately clear what's about to happen. We're being branded for the next stage of the ritual. Fox Mask offers the leather gag again, but this time Hinako refuses. She shakes her head. She doesn't want it. He steadies her shoulders as the maiden steps forward. Hinako feels the searing heat against her back, and then it's pressed into her skin. While this ritual isn't as graphically intense as the previous one, its implications are equally haunting. After a few agonizing seconds, the brand is lifted away. A floral pattern, now burned deep into her flesh, completes the ritual. The second stage of Hinako's transformation is complete. Again, Fox Mask tells Hinako that she has done well, and then she passes out. We awake, resting against Fox Mask's leg again. He once again tells us we have done well. It's like he is trying to deepen the influence even further by constantly praising her for the self-destructive rituals she is performing. He tells us that the next ritual will be the last one. With this, my body and mind belong to you. Those chilling words from Hinako mark her fully under the influence of Fox Mask. He is one. Heading through the area, we get another encounter with a new battle mechanic, Bestial Form. When the kudzu seal next to our HP bar is full, we can press L3 and R3 together to awaken our Bestial Form. In this form, we can attack without taking damage, and any monster defeated will not respawn. It feels like we can also deal more damage while in this form also. To gain Kudzu Seal, we need to Soul Siphon enemies, or simply just attack them. Just before the fight, Hinako says in an emotionless voice, "It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Hinako." There is a distinct lack of her second name, Shimizu. She has abandoned her identity under Fox Mask's influence. Taking the next staircase up, we dispatch the enemies, and then pick up our next inventory space upgrade, Dirty Straw String Bag. There is another use to this room, but we can't take advantage of it until New Game Plus. Heading back into the main hub of the main hall, we take the floral pattern door next to the entrance to the second ritual. Here we find a letter from a woman. The writer questions how someone knows how she is feeling, and whether the person is making her feel how they want her to feel. Heading back to the first ritual area, we take the right set of stairs this time. We take out the enemy, and then head through the floral pattern door. Inside we have a fixed combat encounter, this time with a new enemy, using the same model as our old friend, the Ara Abare. Except this time, the creature seems to be made out of multiple different drums. Clearing the encounter, Hinako remarks how valiantly it fought and thanks it. Heading to the end of the room, the final ritual and the culmination of Hinako's transformation awaits. Fox Mask leads us all the way to the middle of the chamber this time and sits us on the stool. A maiden walks out in front of us and shows us our face in a mirror. This is symbolic for what is about to happen. A fox mask and a small knife are brought out and placed on the table beside us. One of the maidens picks up the knife and bows politely before Hinako. The maiden behind her lifts her head, and up until this moment, as the player, we fear the worst, convinced Hinako is about to lose her eyes. But not quite. The knife presses into her skin and begins to cut away the flesh around her eyes. It's horrifying, perhaps even more devastating than losing her arm. This ritual feels like the antithesis of the first, not about sacrifice, but distortion. It's the moment her humanity is reshaped, her identity literally carved away, leaving behind something that's no longer entirely Hinako. The flesh is placed in the case next to the fox mask. We hear Hinako's laboured sobs echoing through the chamber, raw, broken, and utterly human. It's heartbreaking to listen to. The camera then cuts to the fox mask being pushed towards the lens. A brilliant use of framing, keeping the horror close even as it remains unseen. The screen fades to black as the mask is grafted onto her face. When the scene fades back in, we're shown the mirror once again. Hinako looks into it, but the reflection that stares back is no longer her own. A beautifully chilling piano melody begins to play. Soft, mournful, yet eerily serene. Her transformation is complete. She has completely lost herself. Enter Fox Hinako. To those who have jumped forward to this point, skipping past the rituals, welcome back. Fox Mask says that we have endured incredible agony. He tells us how brave we have been, until just then Hinako begins to panic, saying it hurts over and over again. Fox Mask tells her to look at him, and then with an aura of authority, tells her to look into his eyes. Hinako immediately falls silent and stops panicking. "No more pain or suffering to be had," he says to her, and she repeats it back to him. This single line solidifies Hinako's manipulation even more strongly. Fox Mask calls her his Hinako, and she replies, "Yes, thank you very much." A brief camera cut to the doll looking desperate, and then a sigil appears in the middle of the mask, along with Hinako giving off a small laugh. As we regain control, Hinako says one last damning line. "Finally, I have been reborn." With the rituals complete and Hinako reborn as Fox Hinako, it's time to head into the finale of Act 2. Heading out of the ritual chamber, Fox Mask ushers us onward, telling us that we've braved so much and that the others await. Reaching what first looks like a dead end, we're introduced to the final new mechanic Fox Hinako gains: the ability to focus to reveal hidden paths and secrets. Focusing on the wall ahead, Hinako whispers, "I can see it. The path I must take." Backtracking to the room where we found the crow on Momori and the housemaid's note, we use focus again, uncovering another hidden path. Inside, we find an email and a physician's log, describing how 2 daughters have miraculously made a full recovery. Next, we move to the northern section of the main hall, focusing our way through a wall flanked by 2 fox statues. Fox Mask gazes at us and says softly, "You are breathtaking." Another subtle layer of manipulation through flattery. Healing items lay scattered through this area, a quiet but unmistakable warning that something major is about to happen. We approach Fox Mask. He extends his hand, and we take it. Together, we walk through a corridor lined with people, motionless, hollow figures, women to the left, men to the right. Then we hear it, a faint jingle of a bell. A woman says, "I wish you all the best in your new life." Her voice is familiar, but it's not yet clear why. At the corridor's end, a cutscene begins. We approach an altar with Fox Mask at our side. A priest in traditional garb bows. Both Fox Mask and Fox Hinako return the gesture as shadowed figures gather behind them, all looking at both Fox Mask and Fox Hinako. Hinako hesitates. Her gaze shifts. She sees the doll, surrounded by flame, words scorched into the floor beneath it. "Remember, your name is Shimizu Hinako." It lasts only a moment, but it's enough. The illusion fractures, the priest's form warps, their body blackened, twisted, until they become a grotesque, burned version of Rinko. I can't truly capture this scene with words. It's one of those moments that has to be seen. I'll let the rest play out for you. And then, the Rinko boss fight begins. We open the fight in bestial form, dealing heavy damage early on. There's a bonus achievement tied to this battle: defeat Rinko without taking any damage from her puppet summons. It took me more attempts than I can count to finally get a clean run, but eventually, I did. I'll let the fight and its aftermath play out in full. It's impossible to do justice to this moment through narration alone. Later in the retrospective, after all endings, I'll dive deep into every major character, Rinko included.
この世界から清水ひな子は消えたね。お幸せに、凛子。私はじゃない。
どうしたひな子。
私は
君はひな子じゃないか。
私は
君はひな子だ。
はい。私は清水ひな子じゃない。私はひな子。
そうだよ。君は私のひな子だ。
As the cutscene ends, the screen fades to black. And with that, Act 2 of Silent Hill F comes to an end. The screen fades back in. Hinako lies on the ground, motionless, then slowly stirs. She's herself again, human. It's as if she's just woken from a dream. The fox arm is gone, the mask is gone, yet one detail stands out. The back of her uniform is now ripped and torn, just like during the ritual. Except this time, there's no floral brand on her skin. The torn sleeve from earlier in the game, it was foreshadowing all along for what would unfold during the rituals. I'll touch more on that a little bit later. As an aside, this was one of the hardest transitions for me to write, finding the right way to remove from Fox Hinako in the Dark Shrine back to Hinako in Ebisugaoka. The phone in Shu's house rings. Hinako answers. On the other end of the line, her mother. She tells Hinako to come home, that dinner's ready. But in the background, we hear Shu's voice, faint, panicked. pleading, "Let Rinko go!" Then, a scream. Hinako drops the phone. Silence. And then, that sound. The faint ringing of a bell. The same bell we heard before the Rinko fight.
姉ちゃん
It's Junko. But she's different now. She's wearing a Tengu mask.
やっぱり
I'll let the rest of the scene play out.
お姉ちゃんがお姉ちゃんじゃないみたい。
お互い様よ。私の中でのひな子はまだ小学校前。そんな格好をしていると、ひな子がひな子じゃないみたいだわ。
お姉ちゃん、私
あなたが生かされたということは、ここに至ってもまだ迷いがあるということなのね。
迷い
今日までに何度も言ったかもしれないけれど、もう一度だけ言うわね。生はあなたが選びなさい。誰の意見も聞かなくていい。自分の意志だけで選びなさい。だけれども、これだけは覚えておいて。あなたがそれに悩める時間はもう尽きかけている。いえ、普通の人間ならばとっくに尽きている。
お姉ちゃん。シュリンコ。
Our next destination. Home. We start heading down the mountain, Hinako acknowledging that we're running out of time and vows to come for Shu and Rinko.
待ってて。すぐ行く。
Continuing along the path, we find a note about a clinical trial. Soon after this, we come up to one of a few forced combat encounters. The way is blocked. Hinako tells the monster to stop trying to manipulate her, and upon defeating the birthing monster, we are able to continue our journey.
お前のせい。
You're in pain because you choose to be.
私は前へ。
I'm moving forward. That singular line of defiance showing when Hinako has the will to survive. Along the way, we pick up supplies and a new omamori, Suzerain. We then head up some stairs towards an old shrine. Here we get our first strict mother's letter. It describes a young boy with noble blood. These letters are essential to one of the main plot lines of the game. More detail later. There is also a wash basin used to purify old, dirty objects. We will be using this in 2 different endings, just not this one. As we enter the town, we see that the fungus has taken over even more. It has taken over the entire town. Making our way into a nearby park, we notice something unusual.
されてない。
It's completely untouched. A flashback begins, one we can move around in. A young boy lies on the ground, a fox nearby. A girl's voice calls out softly, telling him there's no need to be afraid. The boy introduces himself, Kotoyuki. His significance isn't clear yet, but the game makes sure we hear that name. It's one to keep in mind for later. We soon realize the young girl is Hinako herself. Hinako remarks that she didn't remember this ever happening.
覚えてさえいなかったのに。
On the nearby slide is a note. Letter from a boy. I know it's sudden, but I'm moving. I won't ever forget you, Hinako. Thank you for saving me. Kotoyuki. Heading out of the playground, we eventually head into the front garden of a house. This letter is another strict mother's letter. this one talking about how they will be moving the next day. This, with the previous note, confirms that Kotayuki is the son with noble blood. Heading out of the garden and to the right, Hinako says that her town is now nothing but a hive of monsters. Next to the Hokora is another note from the strict mother. This note says how her son must study hard. After all, he is just a tiny adult waiting to grow. Another forced encounter. Another line of defiance from Hinako. Leave me alone! I'm not going to become one of you! Encounter down, and after following the path, we eventually come to the very first Hokora from the start of the game. Heading back down into town the way we came at the beginning of the game, we reach the truck that was originally blocking our path. From there, we head left, and at the end of the path is another Iima. Backtracking to the Hokora, we head up the mountain to our destination, home, avoiding monsters as we do so. When we reach our house, we found out that the rot and fungus has taken over our home. Slowly, we head inside. Upon entering, a cutscene plays. Everything feels off. The space twists and folds in on itself, like the house has become its own isolated pocket of time. We start to move forward through the hall. Locked doors line both sides, silent and unwelcoming. In the kitchen, we find a propane cooker, though it's missing a connecting tube. We'll need to find one later. Moving into the living space and through another set of doors, we find a room covered in photographs. This is another puzzle area. One we'll return to soon. Inside our parents' room, we find a certificate of full payment, confirming that Hinako's father had paid off all outstanding loans. I'll be touching on this later in the deep dive section. Near the Hokora along the east wall is Hinako's bedroom door, though it's locked for now. We'll need to find 3 crests and place them into the door, the main objective of this section. Heading all the way down the eastern corridor, we hear Shu coughing behind a closed door. We'll need a sigil to get inside. Next to it lies a torn calendar page. Picking it up, we backtrack towards the far wall. Hanging the calendar in place unlocks a hidden door, allowing us to enter. We're suddenly in the same space again, but slightly altered. This could be seen as a quiet nod to Silent Hill's PT, with its looping corridors and subtle shifts in layout. A ghost of what could have been. Making our way through, we pick up another Iima before entering the living area once more. Here, another flashback plays out, one we can move around in. Hinako's father is shouting at her mother. Then, her other self begins shouting back at him, furious. Desperate. It's an incredibly hard scene to watch. The next calendar page lies on the table in the middle of the room amidst the argument. The flashback ends with Hinako's quiet reflection. She hated both her father and her mother. Heading into Hinako's room, we find a letter from a man. He writes that Hinako shouldn't be tied down by her younger self, and thanks her for a gift she sent him. Leaving her room, we head all the way to the west side of the house, into a room with a slightly open door. A set of scales rests on the table. This is our next puzzle. Balancing the scale unlocks our first crest. Scales plate. Trying to sneak past a birthing monster, we make our way to the far east wing and enter a room displaying a framed photo of Hinako. This is the missing piece for the photo puzzle from earlier. Backtracking and placing the calendar on the wall, we move into the final section of the house gauntlet. Exploring further, we find another Iima near the parents' room. along with a propane tube and an inventory upgrade in the kitchen. Opposite the kitchen door is a locked room we can't access yet. Heading back into Hinako's room, we discover a letter in her drawer describing the meaning behind her name. Hinako meaning baby bird. On her bookshelf, inside a block of wax, something glints within. We now return to the first area of the house, but the tone has changed. The warm light is gone, replaced with dull, oppressive shadows. When we first entered, this space felt like a sanctuary, safe, untouched. Now, monsters roam freely through the halls. Back in the kitchen, we connect the propane tube and use the burner to melt the block of wax. Obtaining the fletching key. The key to the locked door opposite the kitchen in the third area. Returning to the picture room, we hang Hinako's photo on the wall. Each of the 4 portraits could be rotated, upright or upside down, and our goal is to find the correct combination. The clue lies in the central photo. Whichever face is crossed out must be upside down. In this case, it's Hinako's. Solving the puzzle grants our second crest, white bird and fox plate. As we collect it, a deep roar echoes through the house. Something has spawned. I don't linger long enough to see what it is. In the newly opened secret corridor of the third area, we find another version of Hinako's room. This one drenched in blood. On the desk lies a new omamori, Cuckoo. Heading back to the door opposite the kitchen, another flashback unfolds. Hinako's father throws a knife at her, a moment of shocking cruelty that cements just how broken their family truly was. Picking up the final crest, black bird and sword plate, we head back into the first area for the final time. At Hinako's door, we solve the crest puzzle using the hints we'd gathered. The door unlocks, and we step inside. On the desk lies the pine tree emblem, exactly what we need to open Shu's door. Upon picking it up, a short flashback plays. Hinako's mother calls out, saying Shu is on the phone. Hinako tells her to say that she's about to head out, but oddly, her other self remains standing there in silence. As we prepare to leave, a cutscene begins. This moment is pivotal. This is where every ending begins to branch off. In Coming Home to Roost, the first ending, the scene is filled with confusion. Our Hinako, the one we've been controlling, faces her other self. The other Hinako tells us she could have ended things at any time, but that we're destined to fight. One must die for the other to live. Our Hinako refuses, shouting that she won't let this other self kill. The other Hinako vanishes, leaving us alone in the silent room. Regaining control, we head out and return to where Shu's voice was coming from. Inside are multiple healing items, the unmistakable sign of a coming boss fight. We push open the final door at the end of the hallway, and the pre-fight cutscene begins. Hinako enters the room, and it's a heartbreaking sight. Her 3 friends hang lifeless before her. The camera, mercifully, only shows them from the waist down, but the implication is clear. Hinako drops to her knees, sobbing at what she's seeing. From the next room, faint voices echo. Warped. Familiar. Unsettling. Steeling her resolve, she moves forward. The next room is worse. Her parents sit at a dining table surrounded by moulding, rotting food. Her father, clearly drunk, calls her name. Calm, almost cheerful. Hinako, you're late. The warmth in his tone feels wrong, deeply uncanny. His words are intercut with flashes of memory, anger, cruelty, fear. His body begins to convulse. The camera cuts away, only his shadow on the wall as the transformation takes hold. When it's over, the battle begins. Her father has become an Arabaro. His movements erratic, wild, chaotic. He charges at Hinako without hesitation. Throughout the fight, he berates her. Her mother speaks only in cruel resignation, whispering lines like, "We don't have a choice. It's a woman's role in society." As with every boss before, there's an optional achievement here. Defeat the father without attacking the mother. It's the simplest of the optional boss challenges so far. I'll save my full breakdown of this fight for the character deep dive section later. When the battle ends, her parents, still in their monstrous forms, stagger out of the room. Hinako follows, desperate. Outside, she sees it. And for the first time, we see it too. Standing before her parents is the fog monster. Its name, Shiromuku. The name is fitting. A Shiromuku is a traditional Japanese wedding kimono, pure white and ceremonial. But here, it's twisted, corrupted. It looms over them in silence. Then, it happens. The camera cuts away. We don't see it, but we hear it. A deep, wet, crushing sound, followed by the splash of blood hitting the ground. Hinako screams, clutching her head in agony. Another migraine. Another surge of pain. She falls to her knees as the camera fades to black. The camera opens on Fox Hinako and Fox Mask. He kneels beside her, offering a small bowl of water. His voice is gentle, almost tender. "Drink," he says. "It will ease your pain." After a brief exchange, they both rise. Fox Mask steps closer, fastening a brooch shaped like a fox onto her uniform collar. "It serves as proof," he murmurs, "that you are mine." He turns away, his tone shifting. "There's one more thing I want to show you." Control returns to us. Once again, we walk forward as Fox Hinako. Heading back down the corridor, we enter the small chamber just outside the main hall hub. But this time, there's a wall where there wasn't one before, with a set of ornate double doors. Passing through, we find ourselves in an entirely new section of the Dark Shrine. The Treasure Hall. It feels unreal. As if the Dark Shrine itself is a liminal space, constantly shifting and reshaping around us. In front of us stands a large mural. Our goal? Find a way past it. There's a bonus achievement here, to collect all 3 crests without entering the wrong door or interacting with an incorrect fox statue. Through the left door, we find a room lined with fox statues. At the far end, another family physician's log. We move to the nearest statue on the left and pull out the pin. It reveals an ornate scroll. Purify, once and for all. Leave the filth of your world behind. Fox Hinako, her voice distant and hollow, responds, I will cleanse it all. The filth of this world. In the next room, we find another Omamori, Hound. After clearing the enemies, we obtain our first crest, the Black Sparrow Crest. Nearby, another housemaid's note. It tells of an arranged marriage that forced the son of a noble family to cut ties with another woman. Though it was too late. She was already with child. Back in the main hub, another ornate scroll lies beside the left-hand door. Abandon, once and for all. Familial ties must be severed. Fox Hinako murmurs back, I'll sever the ties. My family is here. Through the next door, another housemaid's note mentions that the Tsuneki family is the most prominent household in the region. Using focus, we reveal a hidden fox statue. Remove its pin and gain another scroll. Forget once and for all. Only from today is there true meaning. Her voice answers softly. I will forget. Nothing before yesterday matters. Beyond that, another strict mother's letter. This one finally revealing her son's real surname, Tsuneki. It's a subtle detail for players paying close attention, a quiet hint of what's to come. But since the game hasn't yet confirmed it in a cutscene, I won't expound on it just yet. Using focus once again to uncover a hidden fox statue, we remove another pin and gain another scroll. Perish, once and for all. Shimizu Hinako shall disappear today. And then, a chilling response. Yes, I will die. Shimizu Hinako will cease to exist. Through the next door, another fight. Once cleared, we obtain the White Sparrow Crest. Back in the hub, another scroll reads, Be reborn, once and for all. You are Shimizu Hinako, no more. Hinako's reply is almost reverent. Yes, I will be reborn. In the next room, another strict mother's letter states that the boy's father has died, and that the head of the Tsuneki household has invited him to become the next successor. Through the Oaninari-sama door, which doesn't void the bonus objective, we find a letter with a pressed flower on the desk. Remember that letter from a man we found back in Hinako's house? This is the letter she sent him. Another subtle connection between two threads of the story. Nearby, a mandate of the clan. It describes how every 8 years, a living sacrifice must be offered. A maiden, fair and pure of heart. The duty of selecting her falls upon the head of the household. Leaving the room, we interact with one final fox statue, removing its pin to reveal the last scroll. Sacrifice, once and for all. Body and soul, made pure by rebirth. Offer all that is yours. Fox Hinako whispers, I offer all of me. I belong to. I am his. Abandon. Forget. Perish. Be reborn. Sacrifice. The first words of each scroll. Each one leaving its mark. Each one cutting deeper than the last. This moment, her complete surrender of identity, is devastating. It encapsulates her transition from a person into a possession. Through the final door lies a larger chamber. The atmosphere shifts. Kanji symbols float in the air. We activate bestial form, defeat the enemies, and clear the encounter. At the end of the hall, a box, the final crest within. Interacting with it triggers a cutscene. I will let it play out, as I think it hits better if you just watch it.
では
お姉ちゃん。
殺せた？しっかりと。
うん。
しっかりね。
しっかりって。
今日だけはお姉ちゃんとあなたの二人だけの秘密にしてあげる。でも今日を超えてまだ生き残っていることがあるのなら、お姉ちゃんが彼のためにもあなたを殺すからね。
もう少し外していた方がいいかな。
いいえ。お時間をありがとうございます。それではこれにて。
姉妹で語り合えたかね。
はい。
それでは行こうか。
After the cutscene, we obtain our final crest, Fox Mask Crest. Returning to the hub, we can now finally work on the mural. Using the clues given, we solve the puzzle, and the mural disappears, revealing a new set of double doors. Pushing them open, another cutscene begins. Fox Mask hands Fox Hinako a small box. Inside is a ring. He also has one, and after exchanging them, the rings are placed within a yin and yang style fox statue. The screen fades to white, and we return to the real world. Hinako comes to, sobbing over what she's just witnessed. Her parents' deaths, the horror, the helplessness. It all crashes over her. But then, through her tears, she hears them. The sounds of the monsters closing in. She clenches her fists, steels her resolve. You took everything from me! She screams, her voice raw, breaking. And just like that, the final chase of Ending 1 begins. This time, the roles are reversed. Instead of Shiramuku chasing us, we're the ones giving chase. There's a bonus achievement for this section. Catch up to Shiramuku 3 times before reaching the candy store. Along the way, there are 3 forced encounters and another email to collect. Even with those brief detours, there's still enough time to catch up 3 times. During this sequence, I'll let some of Hinako's incredible voice work play out. It's raw, furious, and filled with pain.
死ね邪魔するやつはみんな死ね何もかもめちゃくちゃだ返して私の全てを返してよぶっ殺してやる私の宝物を全て奪ったなこうはならない絶対私と向き合え戻ってきなさいよ
Reaching the candy store triggers another migraine, and the screen fades into a cutscene. I'll let it play out in full.
これがどれだけ失礼なことかあなたにも十分分かっているはず殺しなさい殺しなさいさあそれがあなたのためです死になさい
And just like that, it feels as if Hinako has been killed. A brief cutscene plays. When the screen fades back in, we're once again in control of Fox Hinako. We make our way back to the main ceremony room, the same chamber where the Rinko boss fight took place. Another cutscene begins. Fox Mask and Fox Hinako approach the altar together, placing ceremonial antlers upon it. And then, a shocking twist. Fox Hinako begins to bloom. Flowers and fungus spread rapidly across her body, until another shocking reveal. Fox Hinako is Shiramuku. The screen fades to black. When it fades back in, Shiramuku stands above Hinako's lifeless body. Slowly, her form dissolves, fading away into nothing. Shiramuku steps forward, and then transforms back into Fox Hinako. We regain control. For the first time, we play as Fox Hinako in Ebisuga Oka. The town looks eerily haunting and beautiful. Fungus and flowers have overgrown everything, swallowing the streets in a grotesque serenity. We begin the walk back to Hinako's home, but soon we're stopped by the doll sitting on a rock. Interacting with it gives us a message. Don't go that way. And then a combat encounter. After the fight, Fox Hinako mutters, her tone cold and distant. Don't get in the way. Further along the path, we come across the old billboard that once held Mayumi's missing poster, the very same one we saw at the start of the game. In a heartbreaking twist, the poster has changed. It's Hinako's face now. She's become the newest victim. Another soul spirited away. Fox Hinako whispers softly, "Yes, this is my decision." Not long after, the doll appears again, blocking our path with another message. "You won't be able to see your father or mother anymore." Another fight follows, and after it, she simply says, "Time to go home." Continuing up past the Hakora, the doll stops us one final time. One last message. One last encounter. "You won't be able to stay as you are now." After the final battle, Fox Hinako exhales weakly. "Almost there. Almost home." When we finally reach Hinako's house, her parents are somehow alive, standing outside. As we approach, a cutscene begins. Fox Hinako walks towards them. Her father, crying, tells her that this isn't her home anymore. Fox Hinako, now fully transformed into Shiramuku, bows respectfully before reaching forward with her clawed hands and crushing both their heads. The wet, splattering sound of blood follows. Hinako screams. Before we move into the finale of Ending 1, let's talk about what we've just seen. Hinako's mind is fractured. The game makes it clear that she now exists as two separate selves. The human Hinako, who we played as, and Fox Hinako, who has become Shiramuku. And as Silent Hill has shown us time and again, events here don't unfold in a linear way. Time, memory, and emotion all bleed into one another, filtered through the character's psyche. So, when Hinako's parents return, I don't think it's a continuity error. It feels intentional, a deliberate narrative choice to show how her deepest trauma, her resentment towards her abusive father, and her mother's complicity, is an endless cycle she's trapped in, one she's forced to relive until she can finally confront it. That's my interpretation, at least. Let's begin the finale of Coming Home to Roost. The screen fades back in. Hinako lies on the cold floor of the dark shrine. The camera pans slowly. The doll sits slumped against a wooden pillar. A desperate scrawl beside it. "Help! Shimizu Hinako! Please!" Control returns to us. In contrast to Fox Hinako's walk through Ebisuga Oka, we now walk the dark shrine as Hinako herself. We move forward, following the path towards the Ima puzzle from the beginning of the game. Reaching the first set of double doors Fox Hinako once opened, we're pulled into a forced encounter. It's as if the dark shrine itself is testing us. After clearing the fight, we continue through the doors and into the area where Fox Hinako obtained the spear. A monster blocks the path ahead. Hinako, now confident and unflinching, shouts, "You're in my way again. Fine, I'll keep doing this. I'll paint this place red with your blood. The second encounter begins, and ends just as quickly. Pushing forward, we pass through both sets of double doors, crossing Sakuko's bridge, and into the place where Fox Hinako's descent began, the Purification Ritual Chamber. Through the next doors, a short cutscene plays. Hinako walks through the worship hall, then the main hall. Control returns in the long corridor leading to the Rinko boss arena. This walk is symbolic. The same path Fox Hinako once took. But now, we're not here to lose ourselves. We're determined. Resolved. We step through the final set of doors. The cutscene plays.
まさかまだ生き残っていようとは。
お姉ちゃんは所詮は向こう側の人間。私の気持ちなんてわからない。
落ち着いて。あなたがどうしてここにいるかわかる？
わからない。ここはどこ？怖いや。辛い。気持ち悪い。帰りたい。
それは何なの？あなたいつから飲んでるの？そんなに飲んで大丈夫なの？
全然大丈夫だよ。これを飲むと落ち着くから。
もうやめなさい。それを飲むのをやめて。
私にかなわないで。これが全ての根源。お前は私の全てを奪った。サクコもリンコもシュウも奪い、お父さんもお母さんも。私を返せ。奪った全てを返せ。
The final confrontation. The battle against Shiramuku begins. Shiramuku opens with direct, feral strikes. The very same fox arm the player has grown so fond of using as Fox Hinako now turned against us. Each blow lands with weight and familiarity. Eventually, she falters, stunned, marking the start of Phase 2. Each time Shiramuku is stunned, it's emotional catharsis for Hinako, a release of everything she's endured. She shouts, her voice breaking with fury, mocking Shiramuku. "Get up! Aren't you going to kill me?" Phase 2 begins. Shiramuku's attacks evolve, still using the fox arm, but now fused with rot, flowers, and fungus. The same corruption spreads across the ground, vines lengthening to try and grab us. Once again, she's stunned, and Hinako screams back, defiant. Come on! Let's see which one of us lives! In Phase 3, Shiramuku unveils her true power. A second fox arm bursts forth, and the arena becomes a garden of decay, flowers and rot spreading in every direction. She begins to charge an attack, the ground pulsing, the air trembling. And when it detonates, the entire space erupts with devastating force. From here on, it's everything at once. Every strike, every pattern, every lesson we've learned, converging into one desperate struggle. And finally, after a long, grueling battle, Shiramuku goes down. The screen fades to white. When it returns, Hinako is in a panicked state.
もうこんなところは嫌だ。私がこんなところのこんな奴らも全てぶち壊してやる。
We now have to escape the Dark Shrine, all while monsters swarm from every direction. Red capsules are scattered across the floor, a constant in this final section. A headache. Suddenly, we're back in the back streets of Ebisugaoka. Even now, at the very end, the Dark Shrine is still toying with us. Another headache, and we're thrown into one of the ritual chambers. We run, dodging monsters, sprinting through corridors that feel endless. A third headache hits. This time, we're in Hinako's house, the hallways twisting and winding as we push forward. Another surge of pain, and we're teleported again to the entrance of the worship hall. A faint light glows in the distance. As we move toward it, the sound of sirens begin to rise, echoing through the hall. We finally reach the door. Skipping the credits, we get a mid-credit scene.
米川により県警本部県道8号線にて当該事案の被疑者と思わしき女性に襲われた男性2名のうち1名は現在心肺停止の状態。
羽村町一より県警本部一部被害者に使用された包丁ですが敷地内からは発見できず被疑者は現在もこれを所持している可能性が高いと思われます。どうぞ。
県警本部から各局女性被疑者は20代花嫁装束身長は 160cm 少々常吉神宮より逃走中凶器を所持している可能性が極めて高い各局はくれぐれも慎重に対応されたし
羽村町一から県警本部被疑者は赤と白のカプセル状の薬のようなものを犯行時に断続的に服用していたとのことです。
県警本部より神楽町1。それは式場内で発見された正体不明のカプセル薬と同一のものか。どうぞ。
神楽町1から県警本部。被疑者が服用する際に口からこぼしたカプセル薬を敷地内から採取。
Skipping the rest of the credits brings us to the end of Ending 1. A splash screen appears, announcing New Game Plus. Saving the game and returning to the title screen, we notice that the title graphic has changed, and there's now a new option on the main menu: View Endings. It's the game's subtle way of telling us there's more to see. After a short intermission segment, we'll move on to the next route: the joke or UFO ending. Before we move on to the next endings, I want to slow down for a moment. There are some things I want to say before we head into the rest of the endings. Going forward, the rest of the retrospective won't be as detailed play-by-play like Ending 1 has been. The game is pretty much the same for the remaining endings, aside from a few key differences that I'll be going over. After we finish the second full ending, I'll be starting the last two from just before we head into Hinako's house, since that's where the game branches off into each ending. I want to reflect a little on what I think was happening in the conclusion of Ending 1. In the post-credit cutscene, the police officers mention that the person who committed the crime was a woman in her 20s, wearing a wedding dress. This implies that the finale of Ending 1 is a drug-induced trip brought on by Hinako repeatedly taking the red pills. And the fact that it's happening on her wedding day suggests she never truly escaped them. I'd also like to talk a tiny bit about what my inspiration is. Not just for this project, but for what I ultimately want to do if this ever catches on. Ending 1 leaves behind this quiet kind of ache, the sort that settles in once everything else goes still. A lot of that comes from Konatsu Kato's performance. She didn't just voice Hinako, she was also her physical model and handled the motion capture as well. Every expression, every small movement, every moment of fear or hesitation, it all filtered through her work. She even mentioned that as the recording process went on, she became more and more emotionally connected to Hinako. And as we go through the rest of the endings, I hope I can do that justice and properly relay that in the rest of the video. There's a tenderness in the way she brings Hinako to life, a fragile honesty. It's not dramatic or exaggerated. It's just a girl trying to hold herself together while the world keeps taking pieces of her away. It reminded me of the kind of emotion I've always admired in Japanese performances. That willingness to let vulnerability show, to let small cracks become part of the delivery instead of hiding them. And Kato-san carries that with such a delicate touch. Through her voice, her expressions, her movement, you can almost hear the feelings Hinako never says out loud. In a different way, I felt a similar emotional weight when I first heard Ben Starr in Final Fantasy XVI. His performance hit me with a grounded, human sincerity. The kind that makes a line feel lived rather than spoken. It was one of the things that made me want to try voice acting myself, because it reminded me how powerful and honest performance can be. Hearing that same sincerity here, in Kato-san's full embodiment of Hinako, in the quiet heaviness of her pain, it stayed with me longer than I expected. It's the kind of moment that reminds you why stories matter, and why the people who bring them to life matter too. Kato-san, Ben Starr. Two completely different voice actors, doing completely different things. Yet, both have inspired me. It might sound silly, but Ben Starr encapsulates all the emotion I feel from listening to Japanese voice acting, in English form. And Kato-san has shown me through this game the lengths an actor can go to fully engross themselves in the role they're playing. And that's where we'll stop Hinako's journey for now. Thank you for watching part 1 of the Silent Hill retrospective. In part 2, we'll cover 2 more endings and go over a few ideas that I have from there. Thank you ever so much for watching. Until the next video, take care. Bye for now.